Now, hello everybody. Are you ready to find out about 4 easy branding steps to attract more customers and make more money? Well, if you are, then you are in the right spot. Welcome. Hello. Let me introduce you to Carlos Copara, branding consultant with over a decade of branding experience, and also he's been working with Fortune 500 companies. Welcome, Carlos.
Hello, dear friends. It's good to be with you guys. I have a lot of good content to share, and thank you, first off, Lucy, for allowing me to share all the awesome branding tips that I want to bring out into this world. So thank you, Lucy.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm excited. Thank you for saying yes to our interview. Yay.
Always a pleasure.
And so when you said attracting more customers and making more money, I think that's always attractive. And I believe that can bring a lot of value to the entrepreneurs and small business owners who are watching this video. So where should we start?
Yeah. Oh, well, I've been doing this for a while, so I've learned a few tips and tricks of the trade on how to attract more customers and make more money. In a nutshell, I've been doing this designing and branding as like a powerhouse creative and consultant. It's been about 12 years now, and I've been working specifically for like big corporate brands all throughout California. So I come from like the corporate sector, but I'm now an independent branding consultant, and that's a little bit of my background. Maybe something unique that I'm starting to share with people, which was has been an adversity, is that, but it's been a challenge, but it's turned out to be a strength of mine, is that I'm actually red-green colorblind.
Oh, wow.
Which doesn't mean that I can't see the colors. It just means that reds and greens, I struggle to see those. So when you take a look at my work at Excel branding, and we'll type it in below, it takes on more vivid, bright, punchier colors because those are the colors that I could see the most. So because of that, I wanted to build my strengths outside of just being a creative. So I focused on the brand strategy and the brand consultancy. So that's what brought me here today, to tell you like how, defining your brand and clarifying what your brand stands for can help you attract customers and in turn, make more money. So that's what my brand is. I'm transparent about that. Yes, I'm red, green, colorblind, but I also do brand consultancy, and that's my passion, and I'm here to share that. So enough about me. I want to help you guys formulate, these tips and tricks. And branding gets real complicated real fast, and a lot of people, it's like this elusive topic. So I'm here to tell you that branding, it's my job to simplify this for you. And if you really focus on just the basics, the fundamentals, and these 4 frameworks, these 4 steps I'm going to share with you guys, you're going to be off to a good start. So don't be overwhelmed. If you're an overachiever, bust out that pen, take some notes, and refer back to this, as a sort of a guide to steer you in the right direction.
Perfect. I have one question before we jump into it. Who is it for? Is it for, because it seems that branding is more for established businesses or big companies. Is that true? Or is it somebody who is just starting out should watch this video and learn about those steps?
Well, branding is going to help anyone. But if you're just starting out, or if you're in the growing phase, it's going to help you the most. A lot of people are like, well, I'm not ready to brand. When is the right time to brand? I'm going to go over that in my presentation, but the best time in a nutshell is to start now, especially in the fundamental growing phase.
Perfect.
So if you're a business owner and you're an entrepreneur, like you are, the universe has brought you to this video. So listen up.
For a reason. Get ready.
Yeah. So as a business owner, why should you care about branding? I think this is a twofold answer. One is it's going to attract more customers. And number 2, we all know it's a no-brainer. More customers equals more money, and more wealth. It's a win-win for everyone. My goal in this presentation isn't necessarily to make you this branding expert. My goal is just to basically inform you on the power of branding and how you can leverage the power of branding and implement it into your business, so that you could be a strong leader. Because there's no denying that the most successful companies, they have a strong brand. And the strongest brands have strong leadership. So the concept that I want to express is that branding comes from the leadership, and this applies if you're like a Fortune 500 company, or if you're independent owner and it's just you, or just you and a couple people. So first, the leadership has to be strong and recognize that branding is important. And then you filter those branding principles down to the team and down to your audience. So I want to make you a stronger leader. That's why you're here, is you're a business owner. You're not a branding expert, you're a leader. And that's what branding is going to do for you. So these 4 frameworks, these 4 steps are going to help you, give you like a system to follow, and we're all busy. We have limited resources. I know you're running a pretty tight ship over there, right, Lucy? And
yep.
Well, right?
Time is precious. So if you can find an easier and faster way, I'm in. All yours.
Yeah, definitely. And the reality is that we have a business to run. And a lot of people overlook the branding process, or they're not ready for it. But if you don't implement all 4 of these, start with 1, start with 2, but just step forward and start looking at your brand. And I promise you, even if you just apply 1 of these, you're going to see some momentum and some growth in how you're able to attract customers, especially if you're a part of this community that Lucy is building. So these 4 frameworks, I built my whole brand, Accelerate Branding, based on this geometric shape, which is a pyramid. So think of a pyramid as the strongest shape geometrically, and the base of the pyramid is this foundation, the basis of it, right? That's what makes this pyramid so strong, is that this holds up this whole system, this whole business of yours. And what we're going to go through these 4 frameworks, it is basically the basis, the bottom layer that holds all this up. Those 4 frameworks being, 1 is you have to be different. You have to differentiate. Number 2, so if you're taking notes, write these down. Number 2 is you have to be distinct. Number 3 is you have to be memorable. And number 4, you have to have brand alignment. So alignment. And by you fundamentally looking at 4 of these and making sure that your brand covers and touches on all these, you're going to be headed in the right direction. So that's what good companies do. This is all from my kind of design agency background. This is what Fortune 500 companies do to really, get this massive growth. But for contrast, let's talk about what happens to small companies that overlook the branding process and are too busy to, start branding. And I've broken it down into like 4 scenarios. Basically, overlook the branding process. This is the negative side. 1, you end up plateauing. You can't break past this limit, and your brand literally holds you back. Another one is, in today's market, it's so overcrowded, it's so noisy that you can't stand out. So you just blend in and you end up fading away. The third one is you start sending all these mixed messages because you're just kind of Mickey Mousing everything. One person's doing your branding, another one person's doing your copywriting. You're sending out mixed messages, which is confusing the buyer or the prospect. You're not really clear. And that clarity, that lack of clarity, doesn't help with the trust. So you don't have the brand loyalty. And then the last one, the 4th one, is you tend to take on this lower perceived value. And you become the lower end option, which is kind of like the generic kind of lower option. And in that sector, in that lower end sector, you're basically just competing on price. Who has the cheaper price? And you don't want to go that route. You've sacrificed too much to get to this point. So that's the fastest way that you're going to fizzle out.
Yeah.
You don't want to operate in that world. But what is brand strategy? I get that question a lot. And brand strategy is basically all these 4 frameworks all put together. That's where you create a strategy from all this. So business is this constant battle. And it's just a war, and we're fighting time, resources, wearing these different hats. it can be stressful. But if you look at history, the best battles have been won intelligently, where we're working smarter, not harder. And that's what a strategy will help you achieve is, you need a good game plan to win a battle, especially with these independent small businesses. So now that you have a roadmap, a blueprint, which is your strategy, you have a constant point of reference that you could say, whoa, where am I? Am I going in the right direction? So if you want to get to the gold, you got to have a map. That's an old school saying. And the strategy is going to improve your efficiency, right? They say, plan to fail, fail to plan. So if you want to save time, save resources, this strategy is going to inform everything. You're going to educate your sales team, your marketing, all your messaging. Think of this orchestra that you're orchestrating, and there's this harmony that's happening. It only happens when we have a point of reference, this strategy. But go ahead.
So basically, in this war of business, you have 4 different weapons, maybe, and one is be different, one is be distinct, another being memorable, and align your brand to your values.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So what would it, like in easy steps, how would you describe being different? What does it take to be different? Could you say a few words about each of them, kind of to get us understand? And I see that you are doing the branding strategy basically consists of determining these 4 factors, kind of the pillars. Is that true?
Yes, definitely. And to answer your question about, what makes you different is the closer that you are to understanding who you are, and the closer that you understand the purpose of your business, the better that you're going to be able to stand out and be different externally.
Could you give an example of kind of a business? How can they know really what it takes to know who they are and what they do?
Yeah. So my example is, I'm different than other branders because I have a sports background and I've competed in surfing. So I have an athletic competitive spirit. So because of that competitive drive, I'm different than other people because I love to examine the competition and I know myself. So that makes me different is I thoroughly analyze the competition. That's what makes me a consultant. Now, if I loved Halloween candy or whatever I love, I'm going to bring that into my business. So, if I don't love candy, but if I did, I would be like,
you're going to bring it. So what makes you different is kind of a sporty look. Your brand has a sporty look and it attracts people who have similar values.
Yeah, I want to work with like the most high performing, high achievers because that's how I got to this point is I've always been a high performer from nutrition to everything. But I like the part where you said this business war, right? And when you're fighting a battle, you have troops, that your infantry on the ground, you have airstrikes, and then you have cannons. You have different ways of defeating. You can use one and win, or you could use a smart, intelligent combination of all of them. That's what these 4 steps are.
Basically determining what is your strength, what gives you the best chance at winning the war over your competition.
Yeah. So the more you know yourself, and this is historically a principle in war, and I got this from the book. I think it's The Art of War.
Yeah, Sun Tzu.
The more that you know yourself, the better chance that you stand, and the more that you know your competition, you'll never consistently lose. You're in good shape.
So the practical tip for our viewers would be to put on paper everything, maybe do a brain dump of who they are as a business, what their values are, and look at their business first, right?
Take a deep look inside, have a system, take some notes as I'm going through these 4 steps, and you may have some of them, but the ones that you don't have, highlight and start to research or seek out the help to help define all these.
So something that they don't have yet, but they would like to have.
Yeah, fill in the voids, patch it all up so you can be this really strong force, strong brand.
So being different comes from knowing yourself and your business values first. How is it different from being distinct?
Oh, distinct. Okay. So being distinct, those are like unique characteristics. And that's like when we get a lot more specific. Being different just means like, oh, you're doing something else. You're doing something different. But once you get to distinct, that's when you have like these unique identifying factors. And that's where you get more granular. And I'll kind of explain, once we dive into it.
Got it. So it looks like being different is, let's say, I'm a grocery store versus a restaurant. But being distinct is this restaurant, one distinct restaurant, maybe Italian restaurant, and this restaurant makes delicious
organic
food.
Yeah, exactly.
Garlic rolls.
Yeah.
And they're famous for it. So that's something that is distinct about that company, about you as the business owner. Would you say that is?
Exactly. So you're different because you're organic and you're of Italian versus someone else, but you're distinct because for every dessert that you order, you donate 2 desserts to someone in need.
Got it.
And then you donate to the local charities. So that makes you, distinct, unique, qualifying like characteristics.
And that kind of it leads us to the next point, and that's memorable.
Yeah, memorable is it's sort of a combination of like all these powerful methods to make an impression and have this like connection with the customer. And that's what you remember. You don't remember people that were the same. You remember people that touched you and that helped you grow and that helped you belong to something.
So it's more of a personal connection with the customer, personal touch.
Exactly. Yeah. Branding is just, it's very simple in the fact that we're all human and we just want to belong and connect to greater things.
Yeah. So for you, the Italian restaurant, maybe they have something unique and that connects the customers to the restaurant. Maybe the fact that they contribute by buying food there to somebody else in need. That might be even memorable, right?
Yeah.
It's if that person values the particular charity, that might be a reason why they go there, right?
Yep. And you'll be back, you'll create brand loyalty, and you might scare some people away. They're like, whoa, that's weird. I'm not into that. And that's good. You don't want to be with those kind of people. You want your tribe.
Yeah.
I'll jump into like defining exactly what branding is because there's different definitions. And then I'll quickly like review these 4 topics too.
Sounds good. Okay.
So branding has all these different definitions, and depending on who you ask, you'll get different answers. But the simplest way to think about branding is we'll define it first before we go in, is branding is an intended perception that you want to create. And this perception, this is that connection that emotionally connects you to your customer. So think of a brand as a perception. And this perception it lives in the customer's mind. But branding is the process of a cumulative set of like actions and efforts and impressions to try and influence and shape that perception. So when we actually are branding, that's the process of it. And the brand, it lives inside of your consumers, your prospects' mind. So you can't necessarily control it because you can't control their mind. You can only influence it through these different experiences and, hundreds and hundreds of impressions. And that's where the misunderstanding is, because the word branding is thrown around so much in the industry. Some people that print logos or print shirts, they call themselves branders, but proper branding is holistic and it encompasses everything. So branding, I want to clarify, it's not your logo. It's not your website, your funnel, your lead magnet, or your social media. It's a combination of everything. Branding is actually everything. So that's the real definition of branding that you'll get from a brander that, specializes in that. So these frameworks, the first one is differentiation, and we mentioned this is how you set yourself apart. This is how you give your customer a reason to choose you over them. If you love Italian food and you love the community, your local community, you grew up there, you're going to go there because they're giving back to charity, giving them a reason. And that right there makes you different. So you're positioning yourself around that. That's your brand positioning. And that emotional value that you offer, that's tangible, and you can connect with that. And hopefully when you're differentiating, you're telling a story, because you've heard that no one else is like you, right? You're the most unique thing in the world. So the closer that you are to understanding yourself and telling your story, people are going to resonate with that, and you're going to become, different. So I urge you as a business to write this down. Don't store it in your memory. What makes you different? What's your story about? Where are you from? Like, what inspired you to get? There's so amazing products out there, and people aren't saying like, how'd you come up with this idea? Like sometimes the best companies, they take a stand and they say, hey, this is what we represent. We're against pollution. So the more clear that you are, the more different that you'll be. So you're positioning yourself, from a differentiating standpoint. And you also know your competition. You're ambitious enough to study the competition and position yourself accordingly.
So that was differentiating, and basically that's to position yourself compared to everybody else.
Yeah, that's the best way to start, is how are you different? If you build the entire business model around how you're different, you're gonna do fine. It's gonna attract people. There's people selling coffee now out of like their cars, traveling the world. That's different. If I saw it, I haven't ran into one, but I love traveling. So if I saw one, I would fly to it. Yeah. Like, dude, I respect what you're doing. That's inspiring, right? That's different. And then we'll jump into the second one, which is distinction. And distinction for me is more about like the deeper part. And that's knowing your why, and this goes back to the most common thing in business. Everybody should know this, is you have to know your why, because people don't buy how you do things, what you do. People really buy why you do it. And these are the underlying principles, like your values. And if you go to my website, excelbranding.com, you can download my free brand strategy guide, and I touch a little bit on values. Again, this is a good part to build your company on, is the values. What are you promising? And after you promise something, that's when you start to define your brand. And I think of like a diamond. It's so beautiful because it's chiseled, it's clear, the beautiful light is emitting from it. The more distinct that you are, I think it's twofold. It means you're really transparent, you're clear, but also you attract it because you're so beautiful and unique. These are like the unique characteristics that I was mentioning too, and what do they say? You might know this better. The diamond is the most beautiful thing, or is the most precious thing. I forget.
There's a quote on diamond.
Yeah, there's a bunch of quotes on diamond, but shine on. There's one of them that comes to mind.
Well, people, shine on. Polish your branding.
Yeah. So, and within that distinction, once you define like, hey, this is how we're cut, this is who we are, now you're ready to grow into a bigger brand and say, hey, this is who we are. Now you're going to attract that type of audience. If you're selling coffee out of your vehicle, you're going to attract the adventurous type, the artisan, crafty type. So you're going to attract that. And if you use the different vessels of expressing your brand, which I'll touch on later, those are like, using the right fonts, using the coolest imagery, as long as it's relevant to your message and your audience, and using the right color, using all those powerful vessels to express your brand, you're going to be even more distinct. But as long as you touch on any of these, like you're in good shape. And like I said, back to tying to the personality, is bringing your personality into your business. That's going to make you really unique, and it's going to attract that audience that you've defined.
That's pretty good, and it's very action oriented. Really sit down and do your research, kind of way, right?
Yeah.
So think about it, but also do your research. Look online and see who is in your industry, who are the big ones, what they're doing, what colors they're using, what font maybe they're using. Yeah,
you got to do your homework, and and it takes a little bit of time. So when you reach out for help and you get some help, it's kind of you're on the fast track, or just simply reach out and ask for some advice. It doesn't hurt.
I feel we didn't talk much about the brand alignment.
Yeah, so we'll go into that. There's the 2 parts left, and the third one is the memorability. The last part is the alignment.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But the memorability is the ability to go a little more in depth into your story, right? So as you have this like compelling story that is different, people are going to remember that.
Yeah.
And when you're identifiable and clear, like when you look at a Walmart logo or a UPS logo or whatever logo, like that's them. So you can remember them visually. So having a strong logo is important, and that's the very beginning. But as you create all these expressive parts of your brand, you start to establish a presence. And so when you create this presence, people are going to start remembering you. It's going to build this trust. And I like to touch on the simplicity factor, that people remember simple things. When you come out into the world and you're like, I do this, a million things. I mean, have you ever met someone, they're like, oh, I do this. At the end of the conversation, they're talking so much that you're like, dude, what do you do?
You don't know anymore. You're confused. Yeah.
Once in a while, you'll
all
meet,
over the place.
Yeah, once in a while, you'll meet a real intelligent person that doesn't talk much, and they just go up to you and they're like, you know what? I make coffee and I sell out of my car. And it's like, it's clear.
It's clear, memorable.
Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like to give the example, like luxury brands. They're so simple, and they add these little tweaks of personality and character to their logo, but their logos are minimal. If you Google luxury brand logos, you see these logos don't have these crazy bells and whistles. So millennials are accustomed to good design, and they want to see like the simplicity.
Yeah.
Things are simple, they're more meaningful, and they provide more of like an experience. And I think that's what millennials want. It's something unique, and the memorability part is the part of the experience.
Very cool. So and for millennials, they're growing in population of buyers. So everybody pay attention. They are growing buying force.
Yeah, I need to check, but last I checked, like a year ago, it was like 70% of the consumer force. I believe it's probably higher
now. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a pretty big number.
One thing that I wanted to touch on with experience is I have a background in like culinary. My mom's an executive chef, and my parents have owned several restaurants. So I've been intrigued by like fine dining. Like, what do you have a favorite restaurant, Lucy?
In my area, Thai restaurant.
Yeah, a Thai restaurant, right? Yeah. Okay, so some of what I like about what's intriguing about fine dining restaurants, and this ties into the experience, is that being memorable is about sharing an experience with your customer, right? So like when I go into a fine dining establishment, your 5 senses, this is called multisensory branding. Your 5 senses, smell, taste, everything. When you go into a restaurant and you go in and you smell it, and it's like, oh, this wonderful aroma. And then everything looks clean and beautiful art. And it's like the splendor, visual splendor. And then you start to taste the food, and you sense the texture, but you're listening to the music and you're listening to your family. Now you're actually absorbing the entire brand through all your sensors. So you're going through this like multi-sensory experience. Now that's for fine dining. Every company's different, But if you can provide like an awesome video where people can see that, and then you can, you smell pleasant or you sound great on stage, and you have a business card and it has a beautiful touch. So once you look at the whole experience holistically, you're able to touch not just up here, but here, in the heart where it matters. And that's how you remember someone, a loved one, a partner, that impression.
So it really goes deeper. It's not just about one business card and focusing, okay, I have a logo business card and I'm good, right? It's more aspects that contribute. Maybe the way you dress, maybe the perfume you use, or the places you go to.
Yeah, it's a culmination of everything. In the restaurant industry, how clean, in fine dining, how clean your bathroom is, it sets the tone for everything.
True.
If your bathroom is like insanely, spick and span, that means that's how your kitchen is. And that means your food is prepared. So it goes back to how you do something is how you do everything. So tightening up and buttoning up everything, it equates to this larger sum of experience, this perception that we're talking about. It's powerful. It's crazy powerful. It's just we're so busy as entrepreneurs, we overlook it, So identifying, okay, these are the most important parts of my business, and building on it, that's how you start off.
So it almost sounds like it's sometimes better to just focus on one or two things that are key and really grow them.
Yeah, exactly. If you send 3 emails out a year, that shouldn't be your focus. You'll get to it down the road. But right now, if the first thing when someone walks into your restaurant, or the first thing people hand out when they meet you is your business card, and your business card is sloppy, you're off to a bad start.
Got it.
So the most important parts you want to cover, and you put that, and you make a priority list.
So around step number 3, create a priority list for what you want to focus on this year. Yeah.
Where are the areas that touch your customer? They call them brand touch points.
So basically anything that your customer is exposed to on any level, on any sensory level, basically. What they see, what they feel.
Exactly.
What they hear, maybe, depending on your type of your business.
Yep. Yeah, it's like if you wash cars and your own truck that you wash isn't spotless, it's like bad impression. So look at all the important parts.
Yep. So what is the really important part to your business, and then make it look great in a way, like simple version. What about the brand alignment? So is it that when the pieces don't fit together, that kind of creates a confusing message?
Yeah. So part of the brand alignment is this cohesion and this consistency. And that's why it's last, because once you know this defining part of who you are, you want to stay consistent. And like we said, there's multiple touch points. So they all have to be in rhythm and in sync. If you're saying we have the best food, then you should have the cleanest bathrooms and you should have the best service. And so when everything's in sync, that's an alignment that happens, and if you're a success coach, and you don't look the part if you're healthy, maybe, you're not admitting that, like if you're a success coach, you should be somewhat in shape and look healthy and look the part. So that's when this trust is like, whoa, okay, something's not congruent, something's off.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to help you stay consistent throughout all your messaging and your communication. That's the first part of the alignment. And then there's a second part that's powerful too.
Okay, so how many parts it has? So first part is to be in integrity, basically. Figure out what your values are, and then align everything in your business and in your even life, because you as a business owner represent your brand in a way, right? Especially for entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, where they are part of their brand. So look into all areas of your life and your business and the values, and keep it consistent, kind of.
Yeah, keep it authentic. If If you're selling Lamborghinis, like you better look spotless and presentable and look the part and speak the part. So that's the internal alignment. The second part is your interactions and your partnerships. Be very picky and choosy with who you partner up with, because you want to partner and you want to align with businesses and other businesses that elevate you. You know, so if someone says, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? And their podcast is about living a free life, but they're talking about bar hopping and partying, that's not going to elevate you. You know, that's going to do the opposite. So look for these partnerships that push the boundaries of where you want to head to. I think branding is to, you know, brand and think about the future of where you want to be. You know, if you're a medium-sized business, but you want to go large, you need to go speak at large conferences and start networking with people that are larger than you and more elevated with you. But if you admit that, they're going to be like, oh yeah, he's part of our tribe. Let's give him a spot on stage. Yeah. And then you're cultivating these relationships. So that alignment is key, but it takes a little bit of courage, because you have to be able to say no to the opportunities that aren't benefiting your brand.
I like that. It's kind of a different point of view how to look at your brand. So you're not only looking at the near future and the now, but also, okay, what will help you grow to the next level? It's not just about your brand, but also about the relationships, what kind of partnerships you're creating. And I think that's something additional kind of than from what the other brands are doing or branders. It's not only your own brand, but how do you align yourself with the others? That is interesting. What kind of partnership? I went to say no to the opportunity because that's not in alignment. In the future, it could actually harm your business and the perception your clients have about you.
Yeah. So branding is a long-term approach. What I like to express is, how does that quote go? You are the sum average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
Yep.
So if you're around people that are just like, hey, I'm going to write 3 books this year, I'm going to speak on this stage, like connect with them and you'll see that they'll pull you. It's an energy. They'll pull you forward. So you want to be with that. You want to be with that group ASAP. This is branding on steroids.
Yay.
When you're jiving with the right crew, but you got to fit the part first. People are going to apply that principle to you. And if they're well branded, they look the part and they've invested in branding or into their business. If you're not playing the part and you're not buttoned up, they're going to be like, you know, they only play with big league people. So when you approach someone, you have to make sure you're playing and it, you know, exuding that confidence. That they say, okay, yeah, you know, she's one of us. Like, let's do it. Let's give her some stage time. So you got to make sure that you're doing your part so that they see you as part of their tribe too.
Yeah. So really growing yourself, focusing on growing yourself too.
Yeah. And it all funnels down to confidence. This whole exercise, knowing who you are, taking the time to make this a priority, your business that feeds, you know, yourself, your family, your business should be priority. And that is your brand. Back in the day, your brand didn't really matter. Nowadays, your brand is everything. Your business is only as strong as your brand. So once you know and you're clear on your brand, it's crazy. Like this confidence comes out and people are like, whoa, you know, like he knows what he's doing. And confidence builds trust real fast in anything, in sales and branding and in relationships.
So the more confident you are as a business owner and about your services and products, the more you attract your customers, the more money you make.
Yeah, confidence is like an injection of steroids into your brand growth.
Yeah, I really like what you said. Your business is as strong as your brand.
Nowadays, before it wasn't. Before you could have a decent product and people would be like, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
But nowadays, people are like, well, what's your product doing for the environment? What's the movement? What's the cause? You know, these millennials are crazy.
True.
They want everything. They're like, is it handmade? Is it, you know, where's it made? Is it organic? Is it organic? Is it paleo? Is it keto? Like, it's like,
yep.
we got our work cut out.
And also because the competition is growing now, all the other countries that have access to internet now, the more people have access to internet, it can be more competition, but also more customers, right? It's so the better brand you have, the better you distinguish yourself from all the new competitors that are popping up every day. The more access the internet. Yep.
It's a tough world out there. You know, like I don't date anymore, but when I used to, man, it was rough out there. Like you got to really connect.
Online dating.
I like to, I wasn't doing online dating. I was just organic dating, you know, but the more people love your brand, the more people that they're going to be loyal to your brand. You know, I use the analogy of a relationship. You know, usually when you're attracted to someone, you're like, oh, you know, like, oh, she's beautiful. And there's some exterior, you know, attraction to them.
Yep.
So at that point you like them. But if you go on a few dates, you get to know them and you're like, whoa, I like their values. You know, I'm aligned with their principles. Like, it's like you get to know them internally. That's the internal part of branding. And then the exterior part of branding. And once you're like, okay, the good guy, looks good, handsome. Like they connected. They're like, I think I trust him. And if he's a salesperson, maybe you buy from him. You know, if he's potentially a mate, then maybe you build a family and get married, right? So everything begins with that trust. And so I love to use that part of like when you love someone, you go from liking to loving. That's the same thing that you're doing with the brand, is that congruency, that balance of internal and external alignment.
And so really the relationship, so realize that you have a relationship with your customers.
Yeah, and it has
and
to.
The better you make it, the longer it lasts, and they come for repeated business, right?
Yeah.
They will buy from you again, or they refer you because they're going to be so in love with what you do or the product you have that they want everybody to know about it.
They become fascinated, and you know that definition of fascinating is where you're just like, it's moving. You're like, man, I love everything about this brand. They make good shoes. They make good clothes. I love their website. You're loyal, you know, like I've been loyal to a few brands and it's cost me a lot of money.
The power of love and branding.
You know, it's deep. Yeah, that's another webinar or conversation.
So if somebody wants to know more, or they feel, oh my gosh, it's really easy maybe for you, but I feel overwhelmed by this stuff. Can you help them? Yeah,
my first recommendation to anybody is, start to get organized and start to make it a priority, commit to like, I'm going to grow my brand this year. And yeah, you have a life and you have a lot of things going along, but I suggest starting a folder. Just like, this is my branding folder, and then look at find out your why. I'm a huge proponent of writing notes. When you store everything in your mind, life is so hectic already that is not the place to store it. You want to write notes and build on that, and then leave your mind open for creativity and ideas, cleanse it. So write down, okay, this is why I started my business. It's because I didn't like my bosses and this and that, and write down what's different about you, write down, if you go to my website, Excel Branding, if you download the brand strategy guide, it's going to give you like how to identify your values. So print that out, put that in a folder, and it's just about getting organized, and that makes it less overwhelming, but also pay attention to the brands that you love. I've been a huge fan of Audi vehicles. So I've had a very personal experience with them multiple times, and they just moved me. And when I remember them, I don't remember paying for the vehicle. I remember the smell of the gas and the smell of the leather. So that's what drew me, connected to me. But you might be in love with Tom's shoes or In-N-Out, but what connects you to that brand? Is it because, they're so fresh and it's a family business, and take notes and try to bring some of those connections into your business on what inspires you. If you're like, wow, I love what Tom's Shoes is doing. They're like giving back. Like, how can you give back?
I like that.
Even if it's in a small way. So pay attention to your favorite brands. The other one is don't wait too long. You know, sometimes we're like, I'm waiting for the perfect time to start my brand. The perfect time to start your brand and develop yourself is right now. Yeah, start doing the homework. But I'll leave you guys with this, you know, in closing, is just remember, like energy attracts like energy. So how much commitment you put into the quality of your brand and defining the brand, you know, you're going to get the same back. It's just like in life, you know, you're going to get out of life what you put into it. So if you want a little bit more help and maybe you just need some general answers, some feedback, click the link below. That's my brand strategy consultation. And then there I'll answer you, you know, any questions you have. Maybe you just need a little polishing on feedback on your brand strategy. We'll connect, and then I could show you some of my further programs, because maybe you just need help in this one area. And I have a series of different programs. So I'll point you in the right direction. We'll stay in touch, but that's the best way to reach out, is just to come out into the world and say, hey, I want to help. I need help in this area. That's going to really help you advance in your career and if your brand. And like I said, whatever you put out, you're going to get back. And, you know, you have to eventually set the tone of like, hey, I'm a luxurious brand. Or, you know what, I'm a valuable brand that gives back to the community, you know. So set the tone and commit to it, because millennials, man, you got your work cut out. They're accustomed to good design. And, you know, if you're not putting out good products, good services, good aesthetically, visually beautiful things, like, they're not interested. They'll move on to the next channel, the next brand. So there's a lot of ways to grow your business. But the fastest, most intelligent way to grow your business today, not yesterday, today, is branding. It's efficient. It saves you time. And it's like a discovery process. Everyone that I speak to, that I work with, clients, they're like, oh my God, I learned so much about myself. So look at life as an opportunity. Look at your business in that same manner.
That can help you discover parts of yourself and maybe even see what you want to focus on. What are really your values?
Yeah, and who you're serving the most is your customer. If you're really like committed to delivering the best product and genuinely giving the best to your customer, like, this is the first step you need to take, is take a look at your branding. Do what you can now. You know, maybe you don't have an unlimited budget, but do what you can now and commit to it.
Well, also those who want to learn more and have some specific questions about branding and about anything that we cover tomorrow, we are doing a live call on us today. It's 13th of March 14th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the link to access the call, it will be live video, just like you see now, but with you on the board. And it's 7 p.m. and I'll post the link below. And it will be March 14th. Is there anything else?
No, let's get into that Q&A. That's where we get into the nitty gritty.
Perfect.
Into the bolts. That's where we get personal. And yeah, let's do this.
Awesome. Yay. Well, let's do this. And remember, as Carlos said, your business is as strong as your brand. I love that.
I'll drink to that.
And cheers.
All right, guys. Thank you.
See you soon. Bye.